Welcome to the River. I'm Pastor Matthew. It's your first time with us. We're glad you've chosen to hang out with us today for at least 1 hour. Come on. It's good days, man. And so can you do me a huge favor and welcome all of those people who are joining us on the other side of that camera, all the online folks. And so can you do that real quick? Come on. Man, we have some shut-ins, some different people that, man, this is their way of still being a part of the River Church, and we're so glad that you're there. But those of you that are just using it as an excuse to stay home in your pajamas, it's better in the room, all right? And it's always better. So, man, how many people had an incredible time at Reset Nights this past week? Whoa, holy cow, man. There was some fire being thrown off this stage, wasn't there? Man, the worship was off the hook. And man, how about Pastor Ken and Pastor JC and Pastor Jason, man, wasn't that amazing? Like, man, it was just 3 amazing nights. And man, we're so excited for that to launch us in. And as we hit the reset button for the fall and launches us into the fall, we're so excited about that. We are in the final week of 21 days of prayer. All right, come on. Yeah, it's day 15. Here we go. All right, so we're excited. And as we finish up this fall edition of 21 Days of Prayer, we are resetting and believing that God has something amazing in store. And you heard them begin to talk about, I'll talk about it at the end, but we'll be doing a series right after this series called Miracles. And there's a book that goes along with it. You'll be able to purchase that today at the cafe. And we'll tell you more about that very, very soon. So, man, we are so excited with what God's been up to. And so, theme verse for this series has been tucked away in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19. It says, excuse me, I'm about to do something what? Something new. See, I have already begun. Do you not see it? I will make a pathway through the wilderness. I will create rivers in dry wastelands. I don't know if you recognize this, but God is on the move. God is at work. God hasn't stopped working, and we're so excited at the River to be a part of that. But the challenge are you and I willing to walk the path that God's laying out before us? Because it says he's going to walk through the wilderness, which means it may be some rough terrain every once in a while. But guess what? Look who's making and paving the way. His name is God. And he's paving the way for you. The question that we have to answer is are we willing to reset our lives in a way to walk that path? Our goal in the entire series has been is that you and I would have an experience with God. That we just wouldn't know God to know about God, but that we would really intimately get involved and know him at a whole different level. And that's what we've been trying to push you to, that leads you to a life ultimately of freedom. Can I get a witness? Anybody need some freedom in the house? Man, Tuesday night was amazing, man. We saw people getting set free of alcoholism. Hello. We saw a guy say, man, he set free of drug addiction. Hello. Come on. And so we all need freedom from something. Whether if you're like me, you need freedom from Krispy Kreme. Hello. Come on. Or you need freedom from all that Netflix you watch. Anyway, I don't even know. I gave up. I was going to say something that was going to make somebody mad before we ever start the series sermon, really. So I didn't want to do that. But man, we gotta experience that. In order to do that, you got to become a disciple. And in Matthew 28, we've been using this verse. Jesus said, he told his disciples, I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth, therefore to do what? Go. If you say that with a little more force, that we're supposed to do what? Go. And make what? Of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. So how do you know if you're a disciple? Obey. You love God. Keep his commands, which are not burdensome. So you guys got that 1 John passage down still. But the reality is you got to teach them to obey. But here's the challenge. You cannot produce a disciple if you are not a disciple. And you're not a disciple unless you're keeping the commands that God's laid out in front of you. And that's why you have to hit a reset every once in a while in your life to look at your life and take a hard look at yourself and say, man, are there areas in my life where I've missed it? Are there areas in my life where I haven't figured this out? And I want to talk today and help you understand that if you're going to be a disciple that produces a disciple, then you've got to understand what it means to love one another. You've got to come to this place where you understand what it means to be living in godly biblical community, not just trying to do this on your own out here and hope you can figure it out. Matter of fact, Jesus in the upper room in John 13, right before he goes to the cross on that Thursday night, he said this, by this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you what? If you what? One another. It's like, man, I was really good at loving God. But I'm not so good at loving the guy who cut me off on the way to church this morning and then turned into the same parking lot I was coming and now sitting 3 rows in front of me. Can I get a witness? Hello? Or they cut me off in the parking lot because I was going to get that parking spot. Man, I was shopping with my wife on Friday. That's our date day. Come on. And I was right there. I'm getting ready to turn left into this parking spot. This car, first lady whipped in front of me. I was like, okay, she's pulling through. That's nice. Next thing I know, another lady come whipping her car in there. I said, well, I guess she wanted that parking spot. I was like, man, I'm going to T-bone you in my truck. But anyways, just kidding. She was clearly from Carmel. But anyways, moving on. It was a joke. That was probably unfair too, all right? But she was, all right? I'm just being honest with you, all right? But you got to love those people. It's easy to love God, but it gets challenging when we have to love one another. Can I tell you something today? It's not about what you know in this world. It's ultimately about who you know. And here's what you need to understand. The who you know and the who you're loving and the who you're doing life with have an impact on you every single day. You can impact your surroundings or you can be impacted by your surroundings. When I'm a parent, as a parent, I am a parent, all right? I still am. Check that, Matthew. As a parent, I've told our kids many times, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You show me who you're doing life with and I'll show you how your life's going to turn out. And today I want to talk about that with you. How do you love them and not get sucked into that world? How do you build these godly biblical relationships? What we know is the Bible is composed of 66 books, 39 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New Testament. In the New Testament, there's 27 books. We believe all the entire Bible was literally like written by man, but man held the pen, but God did the writing. It was God's idea. And so man might have written it all down, but God was breathing life into that. And when you turn to the New Testament, you find 4 books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and we call them the Gospels. And it's 4 accounts of the same story, written at 4 different time periods by 4 different guys from 4 different angles into the story. One a Gentile, one a Jew, the whole deal. But it's one story. And then if you turn in the New Testament, after Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the very next book after John is the book of Acts. And when we turn to Acts chapter 1, what we see is Jesus has just died on the cross. He's resurrected himself from the dead, and he's walking around carrying on conversations with people. He quotes out Matthew chapter 28, that leads into that, and he ascends into heaven. It's a pretty cool moment. Can I get a witness? Like you should write a book about it, called the book of Acts. And he ascends into heaven, and then Peter, who, remember, denied Christ on that fateful Thursday night, Friday morning 3 times, and the rooster crowed, Peter stands up and he preaches this amazing sermon. I mean, he's firing it out. JC and Jason and Kent, they didn't have anything on Peter, man. He's cooking that night. I mean, he's like bringing the heat. So we pick that up in Acts chapter 2, verse 41. And look what happens at the end of Peter's sermon. Those who accepted his message, the his is Peter's, were baptized, and about 3,000. How many? 3,000. How many? 3,000. Were added to their number that day. Can I tell you what happened? They went from about 11 dudes to about 120 that we know about, and then the next thing you know, they became a mega church in about 15 minutes. Now, most people, when they talk about the River Church, I get it. I've been hearing it a lot lately. Oh, they just want to be the big church. Pastor Matthew, he just want to be a big pastor. He wants to be this. They want to do this, and they want to do that, and they want to blah, blah, blah. I will tell you today, I'm going to answer the question, and you can blog it, you can tweet it, you can TikTok it, whatever that means, or you can Snapchat me. I don't even know. I don't even know what that is, all right? It's a whole nother sermon. I will answer that question for you, whether we want to be a big church or not, right now. I'm going to settle it right here in this whole day. The answer is yes. You want to know why? Because if heaven and hell are real, then I'm going to do everything in my power to unpopulate hell to populate heaven. So yeah, we need to add more campuses. We need to add more space. And we need to add some more bathrooms. Can I get a witness on that? Couple weeks, man, we're almost there. And maybe again, we'll have a floor without a trench in it. Maybe, all right? If you're watching online, you know what that is. So you should come to the building. You can experience all of that, all right? They're like, well, at least we got a bathroom to go to. Anyways. So our builder, I'm going to tell this story real quick. He watches these. He told me, I said, hey, man, you got to get this all done in 1 week. He laughed. He goes, you need to start a motto at your church called Pee Before You Leave. But anyways, that's completely free, all right? Like, he loves Jesus. It was great. Anyways, do with that what you want. I'm so sorry. We'll edit that out of the online version. All right, so, man, I've been wanting to use it for weeks, and there it was. And her email is amy@theriver.cc. Send all your complaints there, all right? What were we talking about? Oh, heaven and hell. Add more campuses, add more space. Because here's the deal, man. I want to do everything I can to reach everybody I can for the sake of heaven. Not for what I get out of this, but for what the kingdom gets out of it and what they get out of it, church. But here's the challenge. Here's what I want to talk about today. The bigger the church gets, the smaller we have to get. You with me? So these disciples are up against something. They literally launched a church. They planted a church, and on the first Sunday, 3,000 people gave their life to Jesus, which means there was probably around 6,000, 7,000 people there. That is a pretty good launch Sunday, by the way. All right? So 3,000 people, what are you going to do with them? And very quickly they realized, well, we've got to figure out how to disciple them. We've got to figure out how to connect with them. And look what they did in the very next verse. They give you the example that we're going to use at the River Church. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship. Come on, who likes to fellowship? To the breaking of bread. See, they were not carb-free. And to prayer. That was funny. Come on, just a little bit, all right? Not to those with gluten issues. But anyways, everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were where? And had everything in common. I'm going to stop really quick. What we see is this church has exploded, but now they've gotten close-knit, and here they're a close-knit group. And now they're hearing, and they're feeling, and they're bearing each other's burdens, and like when somebody is hurting, like they're there, and they're not into other people's business so they can gossip about it. You know how it is prayer request time. Come on. Like, we are not going to do this at the river. Prayer. Bernice says, oh, have you heard about Hillary's husband? He's so bad. And Hillary's like, have you heard about Bernice? She's a Jezebel. You know what I mean? Like just how it goes. But they didn't want to be connected just so they could gossip about each other. They felt each other's pain. Because, by the way, they were putting their lives on the line to follow Christ. This hasn't been that far removed that Jesus was crucified. They were doing life together. Isn't it amazing? Somebody said the other day, we just don't know how to grow the church. We don't know how to do. I'm like, let's just go to the book of Acts and just do what they did. If it worked in the Bible, don't you think it could work for us in 2024? Hello. They got to do life together. Then it goes on and says they sold property and possessions and to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes. Come on, there's that again. And they ate together. They're doing life inside each other's homes. They're not just doing it at the church. They're just passing in the church like, oh, hey, or out in public, oh, they got a Pray First bracelet on. They must go to the river. Hey, what's up? How you doing? You know, or hey, they wear the river shirt and they're like, well, I don't even know where that place is at. I got it at Goodwill. You know what I mean? Like, so you should invite them. But, it's the deal. So it's like they ate here. They're doing life together. And with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And look at cause and effect. Remember, when you read the Bible, there's got to be a cause, and then what is the effect that comes from the cause? Look at it right here in this last verse, verse 47. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were what? You should get more excited about that part. He didn't add to them on Sunday. He added to it daily people being saved. The cause is that the Lord did it, and the Lord did it because they were together. They were a unified unit that were working all in tandem together for one cause, to populate heaven and to depopulate hell, my friends. So here's the deal. God was clearly at work in the New Testament church. God was clearly at work in the book of Acts, and we see that over and over and over again. And it's because they lived in biblical community. Every single day. Are you with me today? It doesn't say that because of the content that Peter gave. It doesn't say because of the great curriculum that they taught. It said no, because they were doing what God told them to do. That he added to their number every single day. How many people today would be excited if you could say that every day people were giving their life to Jesus in Grant County, Indiana? Can I get a witness? And that family trees were being changed and that addicts were being set free. I'm here to tell you, it can happen. And it's not going to be because of content. If you go back in the day when I was a kid growing up, Little Baptist Church, come on. Content was scarce, but community was not. I mean, back in the day, if you were from Marion, Indiana, you would know this. There used to be a bookstore called the Tree of Life Christian Bookstore. Anybody remember that bookstore? And you had to go there to buy a Bible. They had a Bible, and that was about it. And then they had these things called cassette tapes, tracks, that when the lady who does the special music during the service wants to pretend to be Sandy Patty. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And you're like, honey, you ain't Sandy Patty. Like you were about 6 octaves below, and what's the word I'm looking for? You don't even have the beat, and you don't have the rhythm, and you don't have, what's that? Like, you flat. Yeah, you flat. Like, it's bad. But man, the Lord she's singing, and I'm like, no. But you see her, man, you go to the Christian bookstore and you see her in there, she's getting ready to get another cassette tape, she's going to buy another little, down the Via della Rosa, and it's like, oh no, it's not Easter. I mean, you know how it is, man, Easter, like, they're going to do a passion play, and she's going to do it, she's going to sing it, it's like, please don't, please, no. Like, I'm going to bring my friends to church, and you're going to do the Via della Rosa, and you're going to be, it's like, it's bad. They're looking for some Evie or whatever, Or for some of you rockers, it was Petra. I listened to Petra this week. It popped up on my playlist. I'm like, what's that telling me? What's this thing telling me about my life? Anyways. But man, you know what? We didn't have content. You had the Bible. Now today, you can go online and download about 5,000 bazillion different Bible studies in a second. You can go on the YouVersion app and have any reading plan you possibly want. We have content going out of our minds, content. It's everywhere. Content. But you know what we're missing today? Community. Sociologists tell us that we are the loneliest society to ever walk on the face of the earth. That we are the most digitally connected society, not shocking, to ever walk the face of the earth, but the most disconnected ever. Junior hires, high school students, and young adults right now, kids that are between the age of about 13 and about 24 right now, are the first generation to ever do what they call disbanding their own tribes, walking away from their tribes, under the guise of one word, individualism. It's been taught to them. You got to be an individual. Your truth is your truth. Your way is your way. And I'm here to tell you that's unbiblical. We've taught kids and young adults and people in our culture, even adults now, that the best way is to do this is you got to pick a side and you got to hate the other side. Hello? Am I preaching to somebody right now? And some of you have picked some sides and you hate everybody else on the other side. Matter of fact, there's a slogan that exists in our culture today where you'll say something like this: just do, not it, but just do what? You. Every once in a while, Nicole will be wrong and we'll have a debate over that. And she'll, back in the younger days, she would say, well, you just do you, Matthew, you just do you. And I'm like, well, you're unbiblical. And I'd say back, well, you just go do you too until it's time to make. Anyway, moving on. It's completely unbiblical. I'm glad you're laughing. I appreciate that. I think you're the only person that gets my joke is over here. All right, I'll give her a Starbucks gift card. All right. But Solomon had a lot to say about that. Wise dude. He says there was a man all what? He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil. Cause and effect. You're alone. There's not going to be any end to your toil, my friends. It's not about just do you. It's not about disconnecting. It's about community. I'm going to show it to you. The wealthiest people on the face of the earth are not those with the largest bank accounts. They're the ones with the greatest friends and connections and community every single day. He goes on, Solomon, the wealthiest man ever. Wealthiest man to ever live and the wisest. Proverbs 27:19. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. Amen. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So here's the deal. We take these relationships and we put all these large expectations on these relationships. Like you get married, there's this huge expectation on your marriage. You get a roommate, there's this huge expectation. You have teammates, there's this huge expectation. You have coworkers, there's this huge expectations on all of these different relationships. Everybody, who in the room is in a relationship right now of some sort? Raise your hand right now. Okay, let me help you. Everybody's hand should be in the air, all right? If you're not, wake up. Everybody in the room is in a relationship of some sort. You're either a parent, you're in a marriage, you work with somebody. Like, you get it? Are you with me? Here's what I want you to know. Those relationships are going to be hard work for you. How many people thought getting married was going to be easy? I did. It's like, man, we're going to kiss all the time. She's going to tell me how great I am and feed me big grapes. And I would like fan her, she feed her bonbons. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be great. But marriage is hard work. Relationships are hard work. So I'm going to share with you 4 ways to make these relationships happen. Are you ready? How you can love one another. Are you ready? First thing you got to do is you got to nurture important relationships. You got to nurture them. When I was a kid growing up, we heated our house with wood, which meant every spring, summer, and fall, what we would do is we would go out and we would cut down trees that were dead, and then we would chop them up. Like, we would get the wood splitter, we would split the wood, we'd haul the wood back to our house, then we would stack the wood, and then we would be ready for winter. So when the cold winter of Indiana cut in, we were ready for it to go down. But here's the deal. What would happen is if we chopped the wood, cut the tree down, split the wood, loaded the wood, stacked the wood, and thought, man, we've arrived. You'd look at us like we're crazy. But no, when the winter started, my dad would build a fire in the fireplace. Hello. And then he'd say something like this. Hey, son, need to bring some wood in. Hey, Dad, you need to buy a better wheelbarrow. Or find another son. Like, hire somebody to do it, all right? What's wrong with my sister? Like, she might break a nail. But anyways, literally, we had this wheelbarrow. I wish I still had it just to prove this. My dad made me haul wood with a one-handled wheelbarrow and like a piece of 2x4 on this side. Are you ready for this? And a metal wheel. Metal. It was like Moses's or Noah's OG like wheelbarrow. Like, this was here on the Mayflower. Like, it was totally there. And man, and it had been like put in concrete, so it had chunks. So it was like that the whole way through. And I'd go out there. It was a big day when we got one with like a wheel you could blow up and air up. Ooh, man, we must have got rich, all right? But here's the deal. My dad would start the fire. And then all of a sudden, this didn't stay lit forever. Eventually, that fire would begin to go out. And so what did we have to do? Put another log on the fire. And some of you today, that's what you need to do in your relationships. Your fire's gone out. It could be your relationship with God. Could be your relationship with your spouse. Could be your relationship with your kids. Could be your coworker. I don't care who it is. Teammate. You can put another log. That's what happened to the church here. Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken the love you had at first. How many people remember how great that relationship was in the beginning? But you stopped kindling it. So consider how far you've fallen away from that. Repent and do the things you did at first. Go back to doing what you did at first. So here's very simple. Do something to add fuel to the fire. Do something to add fuel to the fire. If you're married in the room, I'm going to help you out today. Are you ready? Hey, my time's about gone. Are you ready? All right. I didn't realize how many notes I had. So here we go. I'm going to give you some steps. Marriage builders. Here we go. Start the day with a hug. Sound good? Take notes. These are not in your app. Write these down, men, or take a picture when I'm done. The women are writing. The men are like, oh, here we go. Stay with me, man. You're going to like this. Say, I love you when you part ways. Because you never know if it could be the last time. Compliment each other freely and often. Hello. Men, I'm not seeing this. Man, I'll send Nicole a text, baby, you are my ride or die. I think you are beautiful and you're great and you're da-da-da-da. Would you please iron my shirt for me? No, just kidding. Just kidding. Some of you just need to slow down. You need to slow down. I mean, maybe turn on the music, do a little dancing, whatever. That was really awkward. Okay. Date once a week. Hello. Some of you right now haven't been on a date in months. You gotta go date your wife or your husband once a week. That's a non-negotiable. Like we fight for that. Like to be able to go. And we love Fridays, man. That's our date day. Now Ren gets to go on date day too, but it's all good. She's the only kid we take on date day. All right. Kiss unexpectedly, but not in this service. All right, like seriously, like every once in a while, man, just go lay it on him, man. Come on. You want him to mow the yard? Then give him a kiss. You want him to pull the weeds? Then give him a kiss. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Is this good? This okay? Some of you guys need to put a log on the fire. Come on. You got to be forgiving. Hello. Ladies, laugh at his jokes. Come on, she laughs the entire service. She doesn't laugh the rest of the week. I'm just being honest. I'm not this fun at home, honestly. Laugh at his jokes. Men, come on. Ask her to marry you again. Isn't that nice? Fellas, get down on your knee. But ladies, another one for you. Say yes. Please. We don't have enough counselors to deal with all of you. All right? Here we go. Getting better. Never go to bed mad. You're engaged right here. Take notes. Take notes, son. All right? Never go to bed mad. Can I get a witness? Oh. And if you get mad and you're getting ready to go to bed, always work it out. Come on. It's hard work, though. Get your phones out. Take a quick picture of that because it's not in your notes. I don't want you to miss this. These are legit. Some of you need to grab hold of this because they're that big of a deal. It's hard work. Second thing, after you nurture, some of you need to restore broken relationships. So you got to make it right. And for some of you, that's going to be a challenge to make that right because the people that you're trying to make it right with, they're not here anymore. But make sure you understand that restoring the relationship and make a broken relationship and making it right isn't about them. It's about you. For some of you, it's about you cleansing and clearing your own heart. Verse 17 of Romans 12 says, do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on who? You live at peace with everyone. We know literally, science tells us that the people who are quickest to forgive are the healthiest people on the face of the earth. They're the healthiest physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Is it not a struggle for me to find somebody who's dealing with a seed of bitterness in their heart? Because you look like a bitter person. You're like, it's like, man, smile. Because this is the day that the Lord has made. And you're like, we're going to rejoice and be glad in it. It's like you're making these funky faces, man. Be quick to forgive. Don't carry around that bitterness. Just let it go. Third thing, redefine your harmful relationships, man. Redefine them. For some of you, right now, you're doing life with people who are trying to pull you down emotionally, or trying to pull you down spiritually. They're trying to get you to compromise on the values that you have in place. These are what I call unholy relationships. And you need to redefine them. Let me help you see what Solomon says. And we're going to do some redefining. Don't come out here yet. I'll tell you when to come. Walk with the wise, because I want to preach this whole message. Walk with the wise and become what? Cause and effect. Hang out with wise people, you become a wise person. For a companion of fools does what? Suffers harm. A companion of fools suffers harm. Some of you in here today, I'm going to talk to the young people for a second. Can I talk to the young people for a second? Some of you that are single in the room. Right now, you've got people in your life that you're in relationships with that you need to redefine the relationship with because they're pushing you past your line of purity. They're trying to push you someplace sexually that you shouldn't be going, and you know it right now. And I'm going to tell you something right now, young people, that you need to get rid of them. If he says, if you love me, you would do this, you would say, if you love me, you would respect me. And if she says, if you love me, you would treat me like this, then she ain't the woman for you, because she's a fool. And you're about ready to suffer harm. And let me just give you a demonstration of what you need to do with that relationship. Here's how you need to redefine that relationship. Punk. Punk. It literally hurt. Like, literally. You need to get rid of them. You're like, well, I'm married to them. Well, you can't get rid of them because you entered into a covenant relationship. We talk about that. Paul goes on to say, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts what? He goes on in 2 Corinthians and tells us, do not be yoked, which means to have fellowship, common fellowship in the Greek, together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? What harmony is there between Christ and Belial? Belial is the number one demon, by the way. Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? Very simple. There's no mixing of those two worlds. You can come on now, right now. And the fourth thing you need to do is you need to initiate meaningful relationships. Initiate them. Very simple. Let me help you this. I have mentors in my life. When I was in college, I was told you need to get into a Paul-Timothy relationship. Well, Paul was like the big brother. Timothy was like the little brother or the apprentice. But what they skipped over was the guy in the middle, who was a guy named Barnabas. And I'll just be honest. I have mentors. I have Timothy's or Paul's in my life, and I'm their Timothy, where I've gone after them and said, show me and teach me everything you do and how you've done it. I've got people that do that with finances. I got people that do that with preaching. I got people that do that with how I'm a leader and how I'm a husband and all these different things, because literally what I said is, show me what you do and I'll go do it. And I don't waver off the playbook. We don't waver. Why? Because they've proven to me they're my mentor. And that's what Paul does. Some of you today, you need to be mentors, and some of you need to get a mentor. Second thing is you need to have an accountability partner. It's always good to have other people's eyes on your life. Somebody else's eyes on your life. And then I have an apprentice. There's something interesting when somebody is dependent upon you on how your conscience begins to change. We've got about 25 pastors plus our staff, now one of them being my own son, who's dependent upon me having a clear conscience, having a clean soul. Confession, my friend, is good for the soul, but it's bad for the reputation. You should write that down. Confession will be good for your soul. It might be bad for your reputation, but here's what I know. I would rather have a clean soul versus a good reputation. Matter of fact, the River Church, you, our people, are part of my accountability, our accountability, to make sure we always walk onto this stage and walk through our life with a clear and clean conscience, a clean soul. Why? Because we know you're dependent on us. We'll take you to Thursday night, the Passover. Jesus and his disciples have gathered into the upper room. There's only one of the Gospels where we really see the conversation that happened in that upper room. It's the Gospel of John. John 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. There's 5 chapters that literally lay out everything that went on in that upper room. I'd encourage you to go read the full chapters today. What's interesting to me is that Jesus, on the night before he's about ready to be sold out, that Judas is sitting at the table and he's going to leave here in a minute and go sell him out for 30 pieces of silver. And Jesus knows that. He knows that in a few hours he's going to go to the Garden of Gethsemane where he's going to pray, and his disciples won't even be able to stay awake, and they're going to hand him over, and he knows that he's about ready to be strapped to a Roman post and be beaten to the point of death. that his flesh was going to be ripped from him. Oh, Jesus knows that the cross is less than 24 hours away. And it's interesting to me what Jesus does. If I knew that, I'm probably going to my mom. I have a conversation. I'm probably going to church. He doesn't go to church. And he doesn't go to his mom. He goes to an upper room where he does this. He leaned into his relationships over the last 3 years. River Church, it's what I'm challenging you to do. And here's how you lean into them. And here's what Jesus teaches us in those 5 chapters. We're going to hurry. He teaches us, number 1, how to care for one another. It says in verse 12 of John 13, when he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to this place. Do you understand what I have done for you? He asked him, you call me teacher and you call me Lord, and rightly so, for that's what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. What he's literally saying, what's interesting to me, is he doesn't wash their hands, he doesn't wash their face, but he washes their dirty feet. The very thing that will carry the load and the weight of everything they're about ready to experience. He says, here's what I want you to know. I'm not going to forget you. I'm carrying your burden. Paul to the church of Galatians said, carry each other's what? And in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Cause and effect. Carry each other's burdens, fulfill the law. Carry each other's burdens, fulfill the law. We got to do that. Secondly, we got to encourage one another. We got to do what? To encourage one another literally means to lift one's spirit. So Jesus knows what's about ready to go down. So he says in the very first verse of John 14, do not let your hearts be troubled. Because here's the deal, boys. It's about ready to get crazy. It's about ready to get on. But don't freak out. Don't get worked up. Settle down. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Because you believe in God, you also believe in me. So guess what, man? It's going to be okay. We're going to make it. Hebrews 13:3 is giving you a lot of scripture. But encourage one another how often? How often? As long as it's called today, so that none of you may be hardened by sin's deceitfulness. Cause and effect. Encourage one another, your heart's not hardened. Encourage one another, heart's not hard. Encourage one another, not living in sin. You're preventing sin. So it's very simple. You're loving on somebody, where you're doing life with somebody, you know they're struggling. Simply pick up the phone. Go by their house. Send them a card and say, hey man, I know it's tough. I just want to lift your spirits today. I just want to lift you up. Church, that's what you do. Then you need to partner with one another. John 15, very next chapter. Remain in me and I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine and you are the branch. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Cause and effect, very simple. Remain in the vine, bear fruit. Connect with God, bear fruit. Disconnect with God, don't bear fruit. It's not rocket science. Go back to Solomon in Ecclesiastes. It says 2 are better than what? Because they have a what? A good return. You gotta do life. Number 4, you gotta protect one another. This is a big deal to me. Because we in the church world like to eat our own. Oh man, somebody gets down. Instead of going and encouraging them and trying to lift them up, we like to kick them while they're down a few times. When somebody's broken in the church, man, your heart should break the same way for them. Jesus, in the very next chapter, he says, all this I have told you so that you will not, which in the Greek is the word scandalizio, which actually means to go astray. Here's the deal. We know in the church world, people are going to fall. People are going to sin. Leaders are going to sin. They're going to fall. They're going to struggle. And the media is going to do everything they can to make the church look stupid. Give the church a black eye. Throw another punch. Can I tell you, we shouldn't be doing it inside the church. When another church is in pain, when another church is struggling, we should feel that for them. We shouldn't celebrate that. We should be like, man, I'm so sorry. I'm going to pray for them. We got to protect. Verse 12 of Ecclesiastes 4, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand how? Back to back and conquer. Then it goes on, three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Here's the deal. See the picture? Back to back. I'm protecting this way. You're protecting that way. I've got my wife's back all the time, and she's got my back. We're going to protect each other. And that's what happens in accountability. John Wesley, he gave out accountability questions back in the 1700s. And there's many people who still to this day use these accountability questions every single day. And I want to give them to you really quickly. These would be great questions for your accountability. Have you been in a compromising situation this week? They'd have to answer that. And they didn't answer this like once in a while. This was every day, every week they had a scheduled appointment with their accountability person. They were methodical in how they lived it out. That's where the name Methodist came from. They had a method, and that's what they did every day. So they'd ask this question. They go on, the next question they'd ask, have any of your financial dealings lacked integrity? They'd have to answer it. Have you viewed any sexually explicit material, even in the 1700s? Hello. Have you spent quality time in Bible study and prayer? Your accountability partner should be asking you that question. Have you given priority time to your family? Have you fulfilled the mandates of your calling? Boom. And this is my favorite one. Have you just lied to me? Folks, we got to live our life in community. And we got to be willing to have hard conversations. And we got to be willing to be honest about it. Got to partner together. And finally, you got to pray for one another. Jesus in John 17, right before he leaves, heads out to the garden. After Jesus said this, he looked toward heaven and prayed, I pray for them. I am not praying for the world, but for those you have given to me. It's a very simple, I'm done. 2 questions. Who are you praying for? And who are you connecting with? Who are you praying for right now? Who are you connecting with? And how are you nurturing and restoring and redefining and initiating relationships in your life? You're like, well, I'm not. Well, I've got good news for you then. You need to jump in to a life group, and they're launching on September 22nd and 29th. And here's the way we're going to launch them this year. We're going to be in a book called Miracles by my friend Jeff Little. Band, you guys can come. We're done. And it's going to be great. You can buy that book today at the coffee shop for $10. And we'll start into those, and we'll launch this. But here's the deal: we're not going to launch them in homes right away. We're going to launch them in this room, in the house. And literally, I'm going to be the life group leader for everybody for 2 Sundays. And we're going to get into groups all across this building. We're going to simulcast it throughout the building, and I'll kind of orchestrate it from here. And it's going to be great. And you don't want to miss it. Our goal is to have 400 people at the River Church in life groups on September 22nd. September 22nd, we're going to have 400 people in life groups, because here's the deal. If we're going to continue to reset our lives, then we got to learn how to love one another. In order to learn how to love one another, then we got to be in community with one another. I don't need to give you more content. I need to give you more connection. And you need more connection. So, Father, I pray now that you would connect with us like never before. In your name I pray.